Hey, welcome to The Daily, presented by EA Sports FIFA 12. It is Super Tuesday, October 4th. I'm Katie Witham alongside Greg Lawless. And Greg, we're getting set for a big matchup tonight. LA in town to face the New York Red Bulls. It's a star-studded event, but it's not just about the glitz and glamour tonight.
No, it's not, Katie. And really, the reality is these are two teams that have to get a result in this one. LA, not so much, but if they do get 3 points, they win the Supporters' Shield outright. It's done. For New York, though, a team that is still barely on the brink of the playoffs. They're in that final spot in the wild card race. They really want to get 3 points and solidify that, and they have a very good chance against this LA team, I think.
You look at both of these clubs and the rosters, and there are some changes starting with LA.
Yeah, they are. And the LA Galaxy will be without Robbie Keane. He's going to be off with the Ireland national team for European qualifiers. And we just learned yesterday also, Landon Donovan will not be there. He picked up an injury in the last match, and he didn't even travel to New York. So that's two, obviously, big attackers for the Galaxy that won't be there. On the Red Bulls side, they've said yesterday in training that Rafa Marquez will be in the midfield, which is where he played against Toronto. He took a lot of heat for the way he played in the midfield against Toronto, especially on the goal they gave up. But his own teammate Thierry Henry said he calms them down when he has the ball, and he has the ability to unlock a defense. So I think it's a good move for the New York Red Bulls against this LA midfield.
And it's going to be a great atmosphere, a sold-out game. You can catch it live on national television, 8 p.m. kickoff Eastern on ESPN2. And we're also going to have a live blog on MLSsoccer.com. You mentioned the injury to Landon Donovan. That's going to have effect on the men's national team as well here later this week.
Yeah, Landon didn't travel to New York. He also is not going to Miami for the friendly against Honduras on Saturday. And so the U.S. national team, Jurgen Klinsmann, has brought in Edson Buddle. He's been playing very well in Germany for Ingolstadt. He scored 2 goals over the weekend. He has 5 goals in his last 10 matches for Ingolstadt. So another striker that Klinsmann can take a look at and see if this is a guy who will fit into the fold.
We talked about Super Tuesday, all the big names we're going to see here in New York tonight. But we also have to mention some big names being added to some rosters, specifically in Montreal.
Yeah, the first signing for the Montreal Impact as they prepare to join MLS in 2013, and his name is Nelson Rivas. He's a 28-year-old Colombian center back who has a great resume. He played for Inter Milan, he played for River Plate, and it shows what Jesse Marsch is doing when he's going to build his team. To go and get a big-name center back as his first signing, he's going to build from the back, and then he's going to worry about what happens in front of him.
And speaking of Jesse Marsch, his former team has a big game tonight, the Chicago Fire out in Seattle taking on the Sounders, and that is where we find our Jason Segini and Simon Borg.
Well, thanks so much, Katie. Actually, we gave Simon Borg the morning off, so unfortunately, you are stuck with myself and Jason Segini. Well, there are 2 big matchups tonight. Of course, the marquee matchup on the East Coast, but out here on the West Coast, the U.S. Open Cup final set to kick off in a few hours between the Seattle Sounders and the Chicago Fire. And this city is absolutely buzzing right now, Jason.
Yeah, we always talk about how educated a fan base there is here in Seattle. They know when to get up for a game. This is a big game, going for their 3rd U.S. Open Cup championship in a row, and we've seen, Sounders green all over the city already this morning. We've also, though, seen some Chicago Fire fans. It looks like they traveled a pretty healthy 100, 150 fans out here, but they're going to have to make a lot of noise to make an impact at CenturyLink Field tonight with the Sounders looking to pack in more than 35,000 people for this game.
Yes, a huge crowd expected tonight, and of course, as we know, CenturyLink Field is one of the toughest atmospheres in the entire league to play in, but of course, the action is going to happen on the field, not in the stands, and that brings up who is actually going to be on the field for the Seattle Sounders, as they have some question marks as to injuries.
Yeah, the question marks for Seattle are James Riley and Mauro Rosales, 2 key players for them. They've been doing it without Riley for a little while now as he recovers from a concussion, but he was fighting hard through practice yesterday to try to show his coach that he's ready to get out there on the field. Sigi Schmidt said they're both going to be game time decisions because basically they had to see how they reacted to the practice yesterday in order to know if they're ready to be fielded tonight.
Well, Chicago also a couple question marks on their side. What about the Fire?
Yeah, Dominic Oduro, he was a question mark coming out of the weekend, but now we know he's ready to go. He's going to be a starter in this game. Everybody actually practiced in full for Chicago last night. So Sebastian Grazzini, which is the big question mark, how will he end up impacting this game? He's likely to see time. We just expect it to be off the bench as opposed to as a starter.
Well, one guy for the Chicago Fire that we can expect to see is goalkeeper Sean Johnson, and he joined you on Extra Time Radio yesterday.
Yeah, Sean Johnson will definitely be on the field for Chicago, manning the pipes, and he could be busy because it's likely that Chicago will be playing counter-attacking soccer. Seattle will have the ball. He'll need to do well to organize. He told us, though, this is his first championship game since high school, so he's really geared up for it. We also had a couple other guys on Extra Time Radio yesterday. Adrian Hanauer, the general manager and owner of the Seattle Sounders, had a lot to say. And, of course, Thierry Henry of the New York Red Bulls joined the guys on the East Coast. So great show. You can get it on iTunes or Buzzsprout.
Well, like we mentioned, two huge matchups happening today. On the East Coast, we have the New York Red Bulls facing off against the LA Galaxy. That kicks off at 8 p.m. Eastern on ESPN2. And out here on the West Coast, the U.S. Open Cup final between the Seattle Sounders and the Chicago Fire set to kick off at 10 p.m. Eastern on Fox Soccer Channel. And of course, you can follow all the action right here on MLSsoccer.com.